हेलो दोस्तों। तो आज हम इंडिया आफ्टर इंडिपेंडेंस में देखेंगे कम्युनलिज्म एंड इंटीग्रेशनल इश्यूज। Communalism in India was largely a result of divide and rule policy of the British, and it was later strengthened by the two national theory of Pakistan and hatred bred by it for all non-Muslims. It later gave birth to a counterforce in terms of ideas of a potential Hindu state. Partition triggered of a communal bomb which claimed more than 5 lakh lives, making it one of the greatest human tragedies, and it once threatened the social and political fabric of newly independent nation. Bengal and Bihar were worst affected. Gandhiji made extensive tours and urged both communities to placate their members. Placate का मतलब है शांत करना. Government of India showed exemplary responsiveness and no measures was left unturned. Exemplary means anukaraniya. Army was called in streets at time and national leadership itself came to force. Nehru used persuasion as well as threats in form of resignation. As a result, the situation was under control within a few months, and minority Muslims were given a sense of reassurance. Communalism further retreated with the death of Gandhiji, who was mourned equally by both Hindus and Muslims, and Nehru declared on all India Radio that the light has gone out of our lives. Some of RSS cadre even celebrated death of Gandhiji, and RSS was banned, which was however lifted in 1949 on the condition that RSS will limit itself to only cultural activities and not dabble into politics. Dabble means उसके अंदर डूबना या छपछपाना, and will have a written constitution. Communal riots were over, but not communalism as an ideology. Nehru made extensive public speeches and took active efforts to discourage it and even compared it with fascism. He even advocated a ban on political organization on the basis of religion, and he was supported by Sardar Patel and Rajgopalachari as well. Next big challenge was rehabilitation of Hindu immigrants and refugees as fallout of communal riots in Pakistan. Challenge from East Bengal was greater as refugees continued to come for several years till 1971 due to intermittent riots. Intermittent means anirantar, non-continuous. While refugees in Punjab and UP etc. were able to settle relatively easily, as plenty of lands was left by the immigrant Muslims in these areas. But it was not so in case of Bengal. Linguistic and cultural barriers also prevented refugees from East Pakistan to look beyond West Bengal, and as a result, the refugees were forced to abandon their traditional agricultural occupation and take to menial tasks in crowded urban and semi urban areas, leading to considerable impoverishment of once prosperous Bengal. Linguistic issues and consolidation challenge. First, the official language controversy. Back in the 1920s, the Indian National Congress, the main party of the freedom struggle, had promised that once the country won independence, each major linguistic group would have its own province. However, after independence, these Congress did not take any step to honor this promise in wake of horrors of partition and rising disruptive forces on parochial lines. Parochial means Sankirna. In the debate in the Constituent Assembly over the issues of language, a compromise was finally arrived at, namely, that while Hindu would be the official language of India, it's Hindi, English would be used in the courts, the services, the communications between one state and another. Issue of language is now evolved into one of the biggest issues threatening the socio-cultural integration. Language emerged as an emotive issue which people identified with their core cultural identities. Language had other repercussion in form of promotion of culture, opportunities in government job, and access to political power. Issue of language become a major one over two issues. One, controversy over declaration of official language, and second, linguistic reorganization of states. Issue of official language become one of Hindi and non-Hindi one. National leadership has already brushed aside the idea that one national language is necessary for national unity and instead averred that India was a multilingual country and will remain so. Constitutional has also de facto given many Indian languages the status of national languages through their inclusion in 8th schedule. Importance of local language in cultural and educational development was recognized way back from times of freedom struggle movement. However, official work could not be carried in so many languages, and therefore issue of selecting an official languages arose, and only English and Hindi were two viable options for their wide reach. But English was already rejected during national movement for its foreign roots, a symbol of the Raj and being the language of the oppressors who used it to exclude the masses. Gandhiji said genius of a people couldn't unfold, nor their culture flower in a foreign language. Though it was acknowledged as a world language and a window for scientific and other literature, it was acknowledged that it should not displace indigenous languages. Hindi or Hindustani, a language in Devanagari or Urdu script which evolved over time as a hybrid of many languages like Sanskrit, Urdu, Hindi, and Persian, and so on, was an obvious choice as it had also played a mass mobilized role during independence struggle as well. Congress also promoted its maximum use in its meeting. So, in constitutional debates, it was asked whether it should replace English and in how much time. Partition changed the scenario, and votaries of Hindi in Devanagari become vociferous and dubbed Hindustani in Urdu script a symbol of secession and partition. Vociferous means mukhar. Even in vote in Congress, Hindi supporters warned southern states of adoption of Hindi as official language as detrimental to their interest as they considered it as a language with shallow history and literature. It was also viewed as putting them on back foot in matters of public employment and political partition. As a result, a compromise was arrived that Hindi was adopted only gradually, and total transition from English to Hindi will happen in 1965. Further, government in the meantime will encourage its use, and a joint parliamentary committee will periodically review its progress. It was hoped that with the spread of education, Hindi will make its reach wider and hence resistance to it will decrease. However, this didn't happen as 1965 approached. Further, non Hindi speakers were also irritated by the fanatic zeal with which Hindi speakers tried to impose it on others rather than do it through mild persuasion. Fanatic matlab dharmand, har dharmi. They wasted their energies on strident propaganda rather than developing meaningful literature and arousing curiosity of others in the language. Further, Hindi protagonists didn't make any efforts in simplifying and standardizing the language to make it suitable for masses, but they instead Sanskritized it on the name of maintaining purity of the language. After recommendation of Official Language Commission 1956 that Hindu should progressively replace English by 1965 and consequent recommendation of a joint parliamentary committee, President in 1960 announced a slew of measures to promote Hindi including a central Hindi directorate, translation of major works, laws, etc. in Hindi and so on. This aroused suspicion among non-Hindi states and open opposition to Hindi emerged from non-Hindi areas. C. Rajgopalachari, who headed Hindi Pracharini Sabha of South before independence, declared that Hindi is as foreign to non Hindi speaking people as English to the protagonist of Hindi. Protagonists of Hindi, on the other hand, accused government of dragging its feet over the issue, and some like Dr. Ram Manohar Lohia and his party Samyukt Socialist Party and Jan Sangh launched militant movements for immediate imposition of Hindi as official language. Nehru tried to assuage the fears of non-Hindi speaking areas by declaring in parliament over and again that English will continue to be used so long as non-Hindi people wish it to, and not as decided by Hindi speaking people. Nehru wanted to make adoption of Hindi language as official language as a gradual natural process and not the one which is bounded by any deadline. Parliament also passed Official Language Act 1963 to allay the fears of non-Hindi regions, as it had provisions that English will continue to remain official language along with Hindi even beyond 1965. Contrary to stipulated constitutional deadline of 1965, but all these measures didn't help. Death of Nehru in 1964 and inept handling of the matter by Lal Bahadur Shastri further aggravated the situation. Even it was declared that Hindi will now be alternative language in UPSC exam. Non-Hindi speakers perceive that it will put Hindi speakers in an undue advantageous position. As 26th January approached, near atmosphere became tense and a strong anti-Hindi movement started brewing, especially in Tamil Nadu. DMK called for observing 26th January as a day of mourning. Students groups actively agitated and soon the issue snowballed into violent protest. Four students even self-immolated and two cabinet students group actively agitated and soon the issue snowballed into violent protest. Four students even self-immolated and two cabinet ministers resigned. Indira Gandhi was Minister of Information and Broadcasting at that time, and she rushed to Madras amidst crisis and assured the agitators of a fair deal. And as a result, after deliberations in Congress, government revised its stand. When Indira became PM in 1966, southern states were further reassured of safeguarding of their interest, and official language at 1963 was amended to suit their demands, and it now unambiguously provided for continuation of English along with Hindi so long as non-Hindi areas wanted it. Provision of using provincial languages in UPSC was also made by Parliament. A new three language formula was also promoted, according to which non Hindi areas students were to compulsorily learn Hindi apart from English and their vernacular. Similarly, Hindi speaking students have to learn a non Hindi language. Since 1967, language is no longer a barrier to consolidation and has in fact helped in consolidation. Both English and Hindi have progressed well due to various factors, and even government has made active efforts in promoting Hindi, which has also borne fruits. Thank you.